What do you think are in these files that they won't release? It's funny because I think there's nothing in the files. I mean, I'm like, well, obviously, if this was an Israeli intelligence operation, they scrubbed them. They've got everything they want on their end. We're not getting the Israeli files. And so what files we have uh, really probably don't have anything in them. And if that's the case, then why don't they just release them? So I just don't understand what the hang up is. I mean, what do you think it is?
It could be a lot of things. I have some ideas. So only I think today, the past couple days, the New York Times got around to publishing pictures that were taken inside Epstein's New York townhouse the day he was arrested. And the FBI supposedly collected a lot of material, CDs and other things from that townhouse when it was raided. And we don't know what was on them. I mean, Pam Bondi is now saying it's CP or child porn. But we don't really know that because she said, months prior said it was something else and then kind of did this rapid.
And it's crazy that she's like, oh, it's filled with child porn. But now, and then the same breath says, but there's nothing to see here, no scandal, no nothing. And it's like, wait a minute, you just said that there's a bunch of child porn in there, but now we're supposed to just, nobody's going to be held accountable for this?
Yeah, well, I would keep in mind too that not long before Epstein was arrested, he was filmed for like 20 hours or something by one of Trump's chief political strategists of yesteryear, Steve Bannon. And Bannon was doing that to attempt to rehabilitate Epstein's image after he had been, imprisoned and gotten that sweetheart deal, the plea deal in 2007, 2008. And if Bannon was that close to Trump, it's safe to say that to Epstein, that a lot of the people, in that network, maybe not Trump himself personally, but again, you have to look a tier up above these people. There was an interest in rehabilitating Epstein for some specific reason. I think, it gets a little too close to Trump's inner circle. Maybe it's not Trump himself in the more recent years, but, that Bannon involvement should be, pretty significant. And then also the fact that, our government is increasingly being taken over by public-private partnerships with the biggest big tech firms of Silicon Valley. And Epstein, before his arrest, was trying to rebrand as a VC guy, specifically in, Silicon Valley networks. And he has significant ties to almost every CEO of importance in the tech world. Bill Gates of Microsoft, Ghislaine Maxwell had a relationship of some type with Jeff Bezos. We know a lot more now, of course, about the Peter Thiel Epstein relationship and the Musk Epstein relationship. Reid Hoffman of LinkedIn, also very close to Epstein. So why did he have so many ties to these big tech guys? I think they want to avoid scrutiny of those kind of things because they run a lot of the most significant government contractors. Peter Thiel created Palantir, which contracts for all 18 intelligence agencies, is now embedded in the IRS, has all your health data at HHS. And is a leader in the AI market, and I mean has just expanded hugely in terms of its how intertwined it's become with the U.S. government. And Musk, for example, has a lot of military contractors. Thiel funds a lot of up and coming military contractors, and also is the political benefactor of the current vice president. So this could be something. Not necessarily in the files about Trump. It could be about people that are, a tier above in front of the faces that are sort of rolled out to us as the faces of political power, whether that's Trump or JD Vance. Basically it's not good for the American oligarchy, which funds and manipulates both parties. Yeah. And I think they want to keep people looking at that. And that's why there's been this renewed focus on both sides, on Democrats and Republicans, to make this a partisan issue again. Because the way the narrative management of the Epstein scandal has been for years has been, well, if you're watching a left-leaning podcast, they're going to talk about Epstein and Trump all day long. And if you watch a right-leaning podcast, they're going to talk about Epstein and Clinton all day long,
Yeah.
and trying to keep people in these partisan divides. But really, it's a bipartisan scandal. So anytime a release of information would disabuse people of that, it doesn't benefit them to release it.
Right.
Right.
So
So
they're
now what
really
we're having instead is the House having the subpoenaing the Clintons and past
right.
officials of the Department of Justice, because they want to make it an Epstein Clinton issue
Right.
again. And of course, there is plenty to say about the Epstein Clinton
Right.
relationship, but again, a lot of it involves Israel. And they won't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Instead, they'll focus on Clinton after he left office, and focus on how Epstein was very involved with setting up the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton post-presidential philanthropies. Yes. But they won't focus at all, in my opinion. I would be shocked if they gave any attention to Epstein's 17 visits to the Clinton White House
Mm-hmm.
in the 90s. Because if they did, I think that would be very problematic, again, for both parties and also for Israel.
Yeah, this is what I'm noticing even about the latest Russiagate scandal with all the documents that are being dropped that implicate Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, all these people. It's like, so what? I mean, they're
Well, they're
going
not going to
after,
go to jail. I mean,
right?
his
I mean,
his whole campaign in 2016 was lock her up, and then he got in office and was like, "Yeah,
right.
I
Well,
don't think
exactly.
so."
And so for them to just throw Clinton under the bus with Epstein, for example, for them to be throwing Hillary or Barack Obama under the bus for the Russiagate, none of this matters because these people are already out of office. It's easy to throw people under the bus who have no power anymore and aren't going to have any power. They're not in the positions to gain it again. They've already served their terms, right? So it's easy to just make them the fall guys and to try to get everybody to
Mhm.
shut up about it. And it's like, okay, but we've got, like you're pointing out, an entire cabal of people that are still very much in power, who are very much connected to these scandals, and yet they're not going to go down at all. It's just we, the American people, are being treated like morons, and they're just giving us Bill Clinton. Okay, so what are we going to do with Bill Clinton? I
Everyone
mean,
knows Bill Clinton's a perv. It's not news.
right,
But what is news is the other stuff they were meeting about. It's not about uh, was Clinton unfaithful to his wife Hillary. I think everyone knows that he has been that for a long time.
right, right,
Um, I think the scandals are, yes, perhaps in well, definitely, but it should be just one of several focus points, that Epstein basically helped Clinton set up the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton Health Access Initiative, and the Clinton Global Initiative after he left the presidency, and helped to design those philanthropies. He helped design philanthropies for people like Bill Gates, too, and a lot of these other figures. He had a direct line to the people that decide who gets Nobel Prizes and stuff, and had a lot of influence in the world of quote unquote philanthropy, which really isn't that. It's influence peddling and money laundering, a lot of times disguised as philanthropy, when you're talking about these people. And Epstein was a financial criminal. And one of the reasons he got involved with intelligence networks was because he was very good at working the world of shadow banking.
yeah,
And that's pretty clear when you look at his trajectory. He was sought after for that by the elites to a big extent. So he was structuring a lot of these philanthropic institutions and all of that for them, to help them expand their influence and power. And also Epstein was interested in eugenics, and so a lot of these Clinton Health Access Initiative, Gate Foundations stuff, kind of arguably have some of this rebranded eugenic stuff in them, as
mhm,
I argued in some of my work during the COVID era. But they're not going to talk about Epstein and Clinton in the 1990s. And you can read my book if you'd like to know why. But in short, one of the main people he was meeting with at the White House was this guy named Mark Middleton. And as the Epstein scandal, relatively shortly after the details of Epstein's visits to the White House were made public, I believe actually it was the Daily Mail that first sort of published some of the logs on them and revealed that he was mostly meeting with Middleton. Middleton ended up dead. He was hanging from a tree by the neck with an extension cord and had a shotgun blast to the chest. And a court sealed all the forensic evidence and photos taken at the scene so that no one can ever look at them. And it's very bizarre because that was the same year that Jean-Luc Brunel turned up dead in a prison. And of course, Epstein himself turned up dead in a prison. So why do they need to get rid of Mark Middleton? I don't think they want people asking questions about what was going on. And Mark Middleton was part of this huge scandal that was never properly investigated, that is remembered today as Chinagate. But it was really a huge scandal involving arms trafficking and technology transfer, involving the state of Israel and also our own intelligence services to undermine the U.S. military advantage by sending a bunch of U.S. Highly specialized military and technological equipment to China, it's very scandalous. So I'll just leave it there. But at the same time, well, I should add this. At the same time he was meeting at the Epstein or at the Clinton White House, Epstein had basically, through Wexner, just taken control of the main Iran-Contra airline that was used to funnel drugs and weapons all over the Americas in the 1980s and was previously outright owned by the CIA Southern Air Transport. They took it over and started moving it instead of from North America to South America and Central America, it started going from Columbus, Ohio, where Wexner is based, to Hong Kong. And what were they trafficking? Well, it's hard to know, but law enforcement people, like I think the Inspector General or someone prominent in Ohio at the time, called it the Mayor Lansky run, basically saying that it was working at the behest of, organized crime interests. So again, I think that's an untouchable aspect of the Epstein-Clinton relationship. It's very problematic for them to talk about. But you think they would love to talk about it because China and because Clinton,
Right.
but they don't touch it. And it's because, again, if you want the details on what I just laid out, the details of it are in my book. You can actually read it for free on archive.org if you don't want to buy it. But it basically lays it all out. It involved the state of Israel. It involved basically the same crowd that did Iran-Contra was involved in shady stuff there. And they were undermining, basically trying to do a massive technology transfer of military technology and satellite technology. And no one was ever prosecuted.
Hey guys, thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you could check out Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. See you there.